everyone, welcome back. This is RandoGEEK. So we're going to talk about what's been going on with AT&T and the thoughts behind them trying to get rid of traditional landline service throughout the state of California. You guys may remember I've covered a few stories or updates regarding the situation. They want landline service gone. They're paying too much money for it. I believe it's about $1 billion a year, they're saying, or something like that. It's just too expensive, and it's not really being used by that many customers when you really break it down. I think they're saying that only 5% of the state of California is actually reliant on landline service, and these are of course customers of older an older era, right? So they're familiar with only landline service. They have no idea how to use a cell phone. Even if service was there, they're just not ready for it. They have no one maybe with them to show them how to use a cell phone. So this is just how they've been doing things. The biggest concern, even without all that being said, is that there's a lot of areas, particularly the areas where landline service is chosen as the primary communication, is because wireless service is not either there or not reliable enough to depend on. So if something went wrong and someone who's of senior age doesn't have anyone with them, how are they going to make a call if wireless service isn't really reliable? And internet is not very good there in these areas as well. So that was the case here. That was why it pretty much got shot down right away last year when they tried to propose this. But it looks like AT&T is starting to kind of get their way a little bit. It looks like they're proposing what's called AB 470, and they're saying that they're going to work, if indeed this does get passed and they're able to move forward and get rid of the old copper lines. They're going to basically got this whole plan in place where they're not going to allow for any customer to be without the ability to contact someone, right? They're going to have access to a phone, internet, etc. They're going to work with state leaders and residents, supposedly utilizing policies that will create a transition to kind of bring a more reliable modern communication to these areas. So for customers that are okay with, moving forward with something new, even if they are on the older side, they'll be able to. Now, there's always going to be a few that it's going to take them a little longer. They might be a little bit slower to adapt to the process, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible. And they're not going to just apparently rip the lines up as though they made it sound, right? Because that's pretty much what it sounds like. They just want to be done with it, cut the cord, and that's it, and start shutting down lines and leaving people without communication. And that is what it sounded like they want to do. But that's not the case, apparently. They're going to do this over a phased multi-year approach. And they're saying current copper services will be maintained until new technologies are available that are equally or more reliable. So AT&T found support for AB 470 among business and community groups and public officials. And I guess they're saying that, this bill, which is listed in the most recent legislative analysis of proposed law, would allow AT&T to end landline coverage in areas deemed well served because they have three alternatives, which is basic voice phone service, including a provider of wireless or wired-based services such as cable, and a provider that offers the Lifeline discount service for low-income households. They're saying in most areas, two of the alternatives would likely be cell phones. All right, so if AT&T gets this passed, the bottom line is they should have already had wireless service ready in these areas. Even if landline is chosen by the customer to be their primary source of contact, maybe that's just what they prefer, they want, there still should be cell phone service there. And I think you have to make sure that it's there before you even consider removing landline access, because some of these areas in California are very rural. They're pretty much farms, and the nearest towers are very far away, and there are a lot of older residents that do kind of just live on their own, off the grid. And that's just how they choose to live. And yes, it's very small areas, and it's very expensive for them to come out and build towers closer and just for just a couple of people, right? So I get that part, but at the same time, pretty much AT&T is the chosen carrier, supposedly, by many in California. So they should be doing their due diligence there, just to maintain their reputation, get the service out there, make it stronger for everyone, so that they can come off of the copper. Again, there's always going to be some customers that just don't want it. They won't have it. They're used to what they want, and they're stuck in their ways. And these are customers that you'll just have to deal with, and eventually they'll just be forced to go out and buy a burner phone if necessary, or whatever it is, in order to get access to communicate, and they'll have to adapt, right? Bottom line, they'll have to do this whether they want to or not. And but as long as the access is there, that when they buy a cell phone, they can actually use it. That is what I'm talking about. It needs to be there, ready for them. Internet also needs to be there and ready for them, because this is a heavily relied on technology world we're living in now. It's not like it used to be 30 years ago, where some people were into technology. Now everyone kind of just needs to be involved with it, because it's just the way of the future. Everything is being run by technology, like it or not. So you pretty much have to learn it. You have to get used to it in order to survive in today's society. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're talking about here. There's a few other things here that you guys can read, and some other promises and reasons to remove landline service, but to also keep it. So one of the things was that customers losing landline services, of course, could face higher costs from purveyors of alternative services. That's according to a report last month, the State Senate Committee on Energy, Utilities, and Communications. So for some customers, this would be more costly, right? Take them off of the landlines, and if they're on extreme fixed budgets, this could be a setback for them. So these are just kind of different scenarios why, I guess, the customers that live in these areas would prefer landline service. But then at the same time, times are changing, right? Things are evolving, and the company itself, AT&T, of course, they're going to want to save that $1 billion a year, right? It's very costly. And if there's not really that many customers using it, I think we kind of understand why they might want to do this. So it is their job, though, to make sure that they can provide, I guess, an affordable way and a reliable source of communication for these customers. Make sure the wireless service is strong, make sure there's internet, and then everyone, I guess, will find their way to be happy with it. That's pretty much how, nothing is as reliable as landline service. So I get it, right? Wireless service is tricky. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In an emergency, when there's an outage, when there's a storm, nothing beats traditional landline service. So I get that. So I can get why these customers would choose to keep that over, wireless, if they can, right? But unfortunately, these companies are just getting away with it, doing away with it, and there's not much you can do but just learn to adapt. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.